Hi, I'm Andy Philp from VMware, this is Spencer Pitts, and today we're going to be talking about the journey to the digital workspace. So Spencer, let's talk about security and the dissolving perimeter, how things have changed.
So things are slowly changing. I guess what's happening in the industry is we're moving from this approach of layered security with firewalls and lockdown devices, and we're moving to something called zero trust. And the concept of zero trust is you don't necessarily understand the user, you don't trust them, number one, you don't trust the device they're coming in from, and you don't trust the network and potentially the applications that they're using as well. And then you build up trust as and when they get access to their devices and to their applications and to the services they require. It's a different approach and it's going to take a while to happen, but it's certainly something we're seeing in the industry.
On the map here we see that there's lots of these cars, they all look the same. This very much mirrors the traditional approach to end-user computing, which is everyone gets the same experience. So how are things going to change?
So the new approach is the fact that you don't treat users all the same. Now the reason we used to treat users the same is because we had a management platform, and if we treated everybody the same, it was easier to manage. In the new world, especially if we're using Workspace ONE, you don't have to worry about giving everybody exactly the same. You can deal with heterogeneous devices, you can deal with different applications. You don't necessarily have to worry about everybody being in the same place doing the same thing. And the other thing that's changed is users' demands have changed. They want to be able to work anywhere, they want to be able to work on different applications, they want to work on their own machine at home, they maybe want to work in another machine that nobody knows about.
So the digital workspace, the beach resort, is this fantastic destination that we're talking about for our customers. But most customers already have some systems in place. So when we look at the map, we talk about investment protection. What do we mean by that?
So traditionally, you'd have tools that you've already invested in to manage your existing estate. What we're talking about is not necessarily replacing them overnight. Take what you already have, integrate it in with these solutions, especially with Workspace ONE, and over time potentially look to phase it out.
So when we talk about the transition to the digital workspace, there are 5 key requirements that have to be addressed to make this real. So let's talk about the first one, putting employees first. What do we mean by that?
So it means making sure that when you deliver this new workspace, users are at the heart of it. So it's all about the experience. It can't be hard to use. It can't be hard for them to get to grips with. If they don't like the experience, they're not going to use it. So at the heart of it is make sure that the users are happy, they can get on and do what they need to do every day.
So a key requirement we've identified to moving to the digital workspace is around modern management. So what do we mean by that?
Okay, so modern management is about embracing all the goodness that we've learned through managing mobile phones, EMM traditionally, and taking the goodness of what we've learned from PCLM back in the old day and putting it into this new way of managing. So the concept of imaging goes, the concept of locking down the device, the concept of sending it to IT to manage first of all and then sending it to the user. It's all about changing that whole approach.
So Spencer, you can see the people are on the beach in different ways. Some are swimming, some are chilling on a lilo, but there's this invisible layer of security. What do we mean by this?
So I think the point here is that people like to work in their own way. They might want to work on a particular device, they might want to work at a particular time. So the idea here is how can we make sure that security still keeps them secure, but they work in the best way that's most appropriate to them, that's the most productive.
So in the current situation, Spencer, we talked about IT struggling for relevancy, shadow IT. Let's say IT delivers everything in this beach resort. What does it mean for IT?
So it's changing the relationship between IT and the business. So traditionally, it's the concept of being in a cupboard and you didn't really see the world. You were locked away. Now it's about actually IT run the resort and they're visible, but they're not actually getting in the way. They're becoming more of a trusted partner to the business.
So we talked about consumer expectations, right? So why not just let users use whatever device they want? What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that if you're in a certain vertical where that's allowed. Obviously, we have a wide range of customers that have different requirements. So what we're seeing is this concept of a device bar, where you have the option of choose your own. So maybe the IT department says you have a range of, 10 devices, or there might be for contractors, bring your own. The point here is you shouldn't limit the choice based on the management tools you're using. You should have a system that allows you to choose what you want.
So if IT takes a really restrictive view and becomes a traffic cop that's saying no, inevitably this leads to what? Shadow IT. So what do we mean by shadow IT?
So shadow IT is when actually we've got a set of users these days that understand more about IT than they ever had. So they'll go round IT. They'll find their own ways to get around it. They'll start using things like file sync sharing from other companies, and what will end up happening, depicted by the map here, is that IT will have to come and help them out, hence the tow truck. So they'll go round, it will fail, and then IT have to get involved anyway.
So Spencer, at VMware we built a platform, and we have users, we have apps, we have devices all coming into that platform. So when we talk about insights and automation, what do we mean by all this?
So if we've got a platform, we're going to ingest a lot of information across a lot of devices and a lot of users and a lot of situations. So we think you need an analytical platform that allows you to take all that information, make sense of it, and then potentially automate things like remediation of patches or quarantine of machines, or maybe stopping access to certain users.
So it's about using all that telemetry, all that goodness that's coming in, and making sensible policy decisions.
Yeah. A little bit like wood for the trees. We've got so much information coming along now. If you're expected to manage all of these types of users, all of these types of scenarios, you're going to need to make sense of it. And having an analytical engine underneath will help you make sense of all of that.